Good evening. Call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Has the board had a chance to review our minutes?
I have, and I make a motion that we accept them.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those are approved. Seeing no department heads or committees appointments tonight. I don't believe we have any, correct, Randy?
No.
Okay. No public hearings. New business. We have interviews for the vacancy on the Bristol Plymouth Regional School Committee, which is set to formally be open November 30th, Randy?
That's right.
Okay. We have I believe, our three candidates who are here tonight. We also have our superintendent for BP, Dr. Gross. I believe he's going to be here more so on a technical capacity if we have any questions about the school, not to get into much else. But I asked him to come in just in case we did have any school-related questions. And so we appreciate his attendance here tonight. 2 or 3 applicants first. We appreciate your interest in the position and your willingness to put your name out there in public for consideration. I suspect that the board will take under consideration this week the candidates and have a decision next week. So I would not expect a determination to be made this evening. With that being said, and in order of the alphabet, I'll call Richard Bastianson up first to the podium if he'd like to introduce himself to the board and if he would like to add anything. Mr. Bastianson.
My name is Rick Bastianson. I reside at 646 Locust Street. When I became aware of the vacancy, I decided to offer my services, having had a lot of experience with board governance, working with financial institutions for 35 years.
Excuse me, sir, would you put the microphone up a little higher so people that are watching can hear you?
Okay. With over 35 years of experience in senior positions in financial institutions. My son also attended BP and had a very successful, wonderful experience there. So.
Any questions for Mr.
My curiosity is, how come BP, when you're so into banks and that of that nature, did you have a strong desire for that before?
For the serving on the BP board?
Yeah. Or any school committee board, I mean.
Before I retired, I didn't have sufficient amount of time. I now am retired and have
You have the
a consulting
availability.
business, but it's not anything that takes all of my time, and I have the time now to offer my services.
Good.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Mr. Schreiber.
Yeah, I would, Mr. Bastianson, can you tell me, are there some issues or some areas that you would like to see discussed and brought up within the board's activities? Are there any issues that you foresee?
The BP board?
Yeah.
Not that I'm aware of, but I certainly would want to work closely with the administration to understand issues, challenges facing the school, and help them work towards resolving them if they're.
So in other words, do I take it that you're in favor of helping them to develop further their position within the community?
Certainly. They provide, I think, an invaluable service. I just met this afternoon with a student who is attending there and is having a wonderful experience, much better than he had in the BR school, because he's really found a niche and a skill set that he's developing. And I think it's an invaluable service that the school provides. Kind of wish they had one when I was going to school.
And what was the basis on which you touched basis with this student? How did that come about?
He was visiting us.
Oh, I see. Okay, good. Thank you.
Just one quick question, sir. This appointment is to fill the unexpired term. If you are appointed and at the conclusion of the term, is this something that you would look to pursue as a candidate for public office? Because this is not a full-term appointment.
How long is it for?
I believe it would go till January of 14, correct? I mean, January of, 14.
It's just an elected position?
It's an elected position, yes.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
the elected members are resigning, retiring, so that's why there's a vacancy.
Yep. I would be happy to continue to serve, but that's the will of the voters.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next up, we have Tim Hollick, and again, we'll just go in alphabetical order. Mr. Hollick, thank you for joining us this evening.
How you doing? Tim Hollick, Wood Palace Kitchens. I've been a resident since '87 here in Raynham. I graduated at BP in 1977, many years ago. I'm on numerous boards there. We give 2 scholarships at the school every year to seniors, and it's just something I've always thought about. It's just I know Catherine Williams very well, so it's not a position I would have pursued because of her. So interested in doing it now.
Great, thank you, Mr. Hollick. Mrs. Smith.
So you're quite familiar then with the school and all of its activities and what a great school it really is?
Very familiar, yes. I've been active with them, donating my time since I basically graduated.
So you too then have felt as though you would have probably done this sooner if, not that it was an open seat, but that you didn't know the opponent that was there.
Exactly, yeah. I'm good friends with her kids,
Yeah.
so I went to school with her kids.
Yeah.
I've always liked Catherine. She's a good person.
Right, he was. I knew him also. Good. You certainly have the motivation to. Do you see any changes you would make in the school?
Not right now, but getting involved in it's going to, give me more to know about it. So I'm looking forward to it if I could.
I think academically the school is great, as well as its shop programs. I know we have spoken about that before, and my grandson goes there and absolutely loves it.
It's a phenomenal school.
It is.
It's been for many years now since Dr. Avery took over.
Yeah.
And then it's continued with Dr. Gross.
Yeah, Dr. Gross has done an excellent job, by the way. Thank you very much, because he has done an excellent job.
He really has.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Chad.
Yes, I'd be interested to know what were some of the boards, you say various boards that you served with in the school. What
Advisory
were-
board. I've been chairman of the advisory board for the carpentry shop for many years. I'm on the school council. I was actually on the school to work original, trying to get the grant. I was the co-chairman with Mr. Casado. And like I said, I give 2 scholarships a year. I used to give the kids in the carpentry shop an award every year, but it was sophomores, and they decided they really just want to give awards to seniors, so that was stopped.
So how long have you been participating at those various levels? How many years?
Pretty much around 30 years,
30 years?
yes. And I graduated in '77. Actually, I'm sorry, I actually taught there for a couple of years when I first started my business in '79. I was an assistant teacher in the carpentry shop,
Okay,
so really since '79.
okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you. I'm all set, Mr. Chair.
Just the same question, Tim. When this appointment expires, is it something that you'd be in a position to seek as a candidate?
Definitely.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And our final applicant tonight, Mrs. Reardon. Good evening.
Good evening. Sheila Reardon, 102 Baker Road, here in Raynham, of course. I've lived in Raynham for over 25 years. I've been involved more in the Taunton area with nonprofit boards, both locally and on the national level. I've been an educator for many years, and I'm not going to say how many, but a lot of years, and I'm a strong proponent of the career vocational technical education. I even have 2 nieces right now at Bristol Plymouth. I teach sometimes at Bridgewater State, and I've had students in my class who have gone through Bristol Plymouth, so I know what a good foundation they receive at Bristol Plymouth.
Thank you. Mrs. Smith.
I read all of this, and you have done such impressive work all over the place, so you certainly are more than qualified to
Thank you.
take a position such as what is being open. Your interest in the school, is it in the capacity of just going in and going along with everything, or do you have anything in mind that you would like to see changed in any way?
I don't know the ins and outs of it. I just know what a good program it is in the career vocational technical piece, and how excited my nieces are. I have friends who have gone through Bristol Plymouth. It has a very good reputation.
It does.
And I think it's something that, we need to keep growing and encouraging. I know some of the new programs. They had a new biotech program that one of my nieces is very interested in right now. So the whole what they offer, I think is excellent. Is just wonderful for children, because not everybody is necessarily college bound, but if they are, they're still prepared when they leave Bristol Plymouth.
That's right. That's right. And I think they have a very large contingent that do go on to college,
Yes.
too. BP is not like the old BP was. It now has your academics as well as your shops, and it's
Some of my colleagues,
great.
their children are right now in nursing school, engineering programs, and then electrical and plumbing too. So they're prepared for wherever they want to go.
Exactly, exactly. Now, your resume speaks for itself, so I
Thank you.
really don't have any other questions.
Mr. Shiver?
Well, yeah, I go along with Ms. Smith. There's not a lot to say from an educational point of view. You Purdue University, PhD, and on and on.
But I'm not an engineer, so that's okay.
I hear that, yeah, that's educational leadership. But, so, you're obviously very busy right now in your current position as Director of Special Ed for Taunton Public Schools. Is there a fit between that and the work at Bristol Plymouth? That's what I'm curious about. Where's the fit in your mind? Why that?
To me, they're two separate things, because I would
Okay.
be serving the town of Raynham.
Yep.
And the people in Raynham. To me, they're totally different.
I see.
And I'm not involved in any boards. I believe in term limits. And I was on some boards for like 25 years, and I think that, you've been there long enough. And so I'm really looking in a way to give back to the community, to continue to
see.
give back in different areas. I was with Girls Club. I'm still involved in the National Girls Incorporated, but refocusing in different areas. But as far as my day job, that's entirely different. This is working to support Raynham on the Bristol to Plymouth School Committee
Okay,
and the
that's
students.
fair enough, I understand. Thank you.
Just the same question as the other two. It's an elected position,
Yes.
and would you seek the position as a candidate when the term?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
There, as you know, there's been no opening, so there was no way to run in the past, but thank you.
Thank you. Any final questions for any of the candidates before we
I do not.
let them go?
Three very good candidates here.
Good,
We're
thank
going
you.
to have a tough time.
Dr. Gross, while you're here, is there anything you'd like to chat with, or do you mind just?
Sure. Just a technical piece. I'm not exact, and I guess it's up to you as to how long the term is to fill out the rest of the term. But the term is actually in December of 2014, not January of 2014. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page with that.
No,
Okay.
that would be our expectation to fill the
Okay.
term. Thank you for correcting that, though.
That's all right. I just want to make sure for the record.
That's why you're here.
Exactly. I knew we'd need it for something. Great, thank you all for coming. Feel free to leave if you'd like, or stay if you'd like as well. And Dr. Gross, we also appreciate you coming in after your busy day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Old business, Mr. Shivo, Mrs. Smith. Town Administrators Report, Mr. Buckner.
South Coast Rail has an open house in Fall River on October 17th. Our planning director, John Charbonneau, attended last week's open house in Taunton and will be responding to the FEIR, that's Final Environmental Impact Report, on behalf of the town. Wanted to mention that because of the pre-town and the fall town meetings, the board will meet at 6:30 p.m. instead of 7 the next 2 weeks. Next week's meeting will be here, and the meeting on the October 29th will be at the middle school. There's a teacher's lounge right off the cafeteria. That's a good meeting spot. Also wanted to mention the planning board hearings on those proposed zoning amendments are going to be held this Thursday evening, October 17th, 6 p.m. is when they start. Upcoming department head meeting this Thursday morning, Southeastern Mass Health Group Steering Committee meeting Monday, October 21st, Got a home consortium quarterly meeting on October 23rd. And as I said, the fall town meeting is upcoming October 29th, and pre-town meeting Tuesday, October 22nd.
Thank you, Randy. Any questions for Randy? None, okay. Selectmen's report, Mr. Shivo.
None.
Mrs. Smith.
I think I'm good this week, thank you.
Thank you. Correspondence. We have, just so the board knows, this is more of an FYI to us. The Mass Gaming Commission is working to schedule public input sessions where the commission will receive comments from communities and citizens. A tentative date is October 22nd, and it's scheduled to begin at 4 p.m., which is a Tuesday in Easton. Randy makes the note, and I have similar knowledge that there will be a separate hearing in Raynham that will occur at a later time in the year. So I believe this is more so for the contiguous communities than it is for the host community, but nonetheless, they're just notifying us of that. We have a request from Brian Farrington of Raynham stating that it's his belief that our highway department installed a town bound incorrectly. I know Randy has been working on this since the request came in with Superintendent Stolte. My suggestion would be for us to forward this along formally to the superintendent.
So moved.
All in favor? That is approved. Tag days. We have Students for Homelessness, November 8th and 15th. Raynham, Todd and Raynham Pop Warner is requesting November 11th and 27th. And Chair Legacy is requesting December 21, 22, 23, 24, and 26. And all those dates are okay. What's the board's pleasure?
Move to approve the dates as presented.
All in favor? Those are approved. We will go first to citizen and community input. Mr. Dolan, I see you have joined us tonight.
Yes, I have, unfortunately.
What can we do for you, sir?
Well, I'm here tonight very disappointed and outraged at the deliberate cowardly act that happened at our boundary line last Wednesday. Just under 7 weeks, 6.5 weeks to be exact, from the date that I received the letter from this board giving me permission at my own expense, which I did, I hired a contractor to take down those 6 sections of fence. Certain members, and not the entire organization, but certain members of the Veterans Memorial Committee planted 10 arborvitaes on our boundary line. Now, those arborvitaes were supposed to replace the trees that we took down behind the Veterans Memorial because they were staining the memorial. They were not intended to be put on the boundary line. That, to me, is an act of a harassment. I've been in this town for 46 years living there. Before that, I lived next door. I grew up in that house. Never have I ever had any problems with neighbor until the town took over this property. I am outraged at this. And one of the things that concern me, and this is a big concern, my wife suffers from fibromyalgia and polymyalgia rheumatica, and that condition is brought on by stress. She is in a full-blown stage of fibromyalgia right now. She is hurting all over from the stress of having those trees planted right after we got rid of that fence, after trying to deal with that for about 6 or 7 years. This was cowardly. And I would like this board to look into this situation and find out if the Veterans Memorial Committee members who did this, and it was only a few members that did this because I serve on that committee, and when they were going to plant those trees, I asked them, where are the trees going to go? And the gentleman that planted the trees told me, oh, I don't know. Well, I knew damn well where he was going to plant them. That was cowardly. He didn't even have the gumption to tell me beforehand. I would like you to look in to see if the Veterans Memorial Committee overstepped their bounds and why they were planted where they were when they were supposed to be planted behind the Veterans Memorial to replicate the trees that were taken down. This is a disgrace, an absolute disgrace. I have served this town honorably for 33 years, or 36 years rather, as a water commissioner and 21 years as a sewer commissioner, and I've always based my decisions on the best interest of the town and of the customers, and I've always tried to do everything because it's the right thing to do, not because I had the authority to do it. That is an abuse of authority, planting those trees there. It is nothing but harassment, and I'm tired of it. And I think this should come to an end. Those trees should be removed and put back where they belong. Those trees are going to outgrow where they are. They're going to encroach on my property. They'll grow to be 15 feet tall. That is absolutely ridiculous. And when I ask why, they say they don't want to look at houses. Well, why did we put the Veterans Memorial in a residential area? We originally had it over there in Borden Colony, but no, they didn't like that because the Jim Connor didn't like it. So we put it here. We put it in a residential area. So is it my house you don't like looking at? Is my house offensive? I don't think so. I think I keep a pretty damn good house. Why don't we plant arborvitaes along South Main Street so we don't look at the houses across the street? This is harassment, and I'm tired of it. Now, I was advised to come to this board and try to settle this in a civil manner. But I'm telling you right now, I am not going to put up with it, and this is not going to be my last step. I'm hoping we can solve this as neighbors, and it stops right here. So I would like your cooperation in this.
Thank you, Mr. Dolan. To either of my colleagues, Mr. Smith, Mr. Shivo, any comments, Mr. Smith?
No, I have no comment to make on it. No, we were all at the same meeting, and no one knew where the trees were supposed to be planted. That's all I.
But the trees were supposed to replicate the trees that we took down, which were right behind the Veterans Memorial. That's what most members of the board, of that committee rather, thought they were supposed to go, not on the boundary line. That's harassment. You know it's harassment, and I know it's harassment.
Was there anything in writing?
No.
With regard to this?
No.
So the committee, so what you're saying is the Veterans Memorial Committee made a decision that was sort of
No, the
informal?
Veterans Memorial Committee did not make a decision. There were only about 2 people on that committee that made that decision.
So then by what authority did this take place?
I have no idea.
I think that's the question. The question is,
We
what was
did take a vote to spend the money for 10 arborvitae trees to replace the trees that we took down. To replace the trees that we took down. And those trees were right behind, probably 6 to 8 feet behind the Veterans Memorial. And the reason they were taken down is because the leaves were coming down and staining the marble on the memorial. And that's why they said, well, we'll put arborvitaes up because they don't shred. And now they put them on our boundary line. 6.5 weeks after I spend the money to take the fence down, you don't think that's strange? You don't think that's harassment? My poor wife is beside herself. We're trying to get her to heal from her recent hip surgery 4 weeks ago. And now we're going through this? I don't know how the people that did this can look themselves in the mirror. It's shameful. That's what it is. It's absolutely shameful. We're all residents of this town. That's supposed to honor the veterans. Well, you're certainly not honoring this veteran.
Well, I mean, if the Veterans Memorial Committee, if this was an action on their part, then I think they need to, they need to explain why they made that decision and how it was made. If there's nothing in writing, then I mean, to my mind, the question is, by what authority was it done? And I think that's the issue. And what's really, hard to understand is you're on that committee, and yet the committee apparently makes a decision which is, not formalized in writing, and you're not notified. So, I mean, I don't understand how the committee operates, and I think that's the real question, isn't it?
And the sad fact is, I was one of the founders of this committee. I've been on this committee since its inception. I think the first 2 people on this committee were Mr. McGarry and myself. And to be treated this way? You talk about spite and a grudge fence? That's all that is. Somebody is upset that you gave me permission to take that fence down. And they came by and they said, well, we'll show you and we'll put the arborvitaes there. That's shameful. It's cowardly. And it's harassment. And it's making my wife sick, and I'm tired of it. I lived there for 46 years. I built that house 46 years ago and never had a problem. When the school owned this property, we never had a problem. We got along famously. In fact, the school went overboard when they wanted to put the circular drive in. They came in and asked my permission. I told them, you do what you want. It's your property. But that's the way we acted with each other. I even went out there with Bob Smith when he was the principal here, and I helped him plant the grass. We raked the whole thing out, spread grass seed, and I used to water it. That's how I got along with the neighbors then.
Excuse me, may I mean, I'm just, one last thought as I hear you. Is it possible that the planting of the trees along the border was done innocently, and if that's...
No,
Is
absolutely
not possible?
Absolutely not,
No?
no. In fact, I happened to walk into my bedroom, and I saw them out there getting ready, and I went out there, I said, "What are you doing?" And the guy couldn't even look me in the eyes. He had to look down at the ground. I said, "Look, this is pure BS. Put those trees where they belong." He said, "They're going right here." And I says, "Really, you do have a plan for that?" He says, "Yes, I do." So he showed me a plan. You know what he showed me? He showed me the plan, the original plan for this building, showing the fence on the borderline. So tell me that's not spite. And it's just harassment, and it's got to stop, and it's got to stop here. I'm counting on the selectmen to do the right thing.
Thank you, Mr. Dillon. I think it's important to note that, to my knowledge, this board had no interaction with that process
I realize
whatsoever.
that. And my outrage is not with the board, believe me. It is not with this board. My outrage is with the two individuals, possibly three that I know of, that did this.
I think if it is okay with you, if you can give us a week or so, we will look into it.
Yes, I'm not putting a gun to your head. I mean, I've tried to work well with all the boards, and I'll work with you on this one. But I would like to see those trees moved. You know, this is just, I don't know, I've said enough. It's harassment, and I'm not going to stand for it.
Thank you, Mr. Dillon. Press time. Mark from the Gazette.
Nothing immediately.
Okay, thank you. Any emergency business?
None, Mr. Chair.
What's the board's pleasure?
Adjourn and perform the administrative duties.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.